PC indie games have come so very far, and indie development studios have become stars in their own right. There's crowds of fans waiting for their next game to come out, or lining up to buy merchandise for games that have already come out. Big names like Team Meat, and Number None, and Edmund McMillan, but one studio has caught my fan graze. One studio has me lining up for merchandise, and that is Supergiant Games. Supergiant Games are famous for developing indie hits Bastion and Transistor, both of which are in my top 5 favorite games of all time. Bastion is an action RPG indie platformer style with a really good handful of elements that blew me and the rest of the world away. It had stunning visuals, amazing gameplay, and a very captivating storyline, and it's honestly about damn time I shed some light on this game. Bastion starts off with you, called the Kid, waking up on floating rocks and shit has gone down. You find out very quickly that the world has gone through some sort of apocalypse and has been taken over by what's known as the Calamity, which has made creatures known as windbags a little bit angry. You're guided eventually to the Bastion, which serves as a hub area for the entire game. Here you meet a man named Rux, and Rux is extremely important to the entire story of Bastion. See, Rux is the storyline's narrator. This narration goes on for the entire game and never stops. He explains out the story, what happened to things, where you are, and what purpose these things served before the destruction. He also points out certain sites, enemies, bosses, and people. This narration gives Bastion its edge over other indie titles as it blends gameplay and story in an absolutely brilliant way. There is enough narration to keep you moving and to see what he will say next, but not enough where it gets annoying and it's never repetitive.
Kid's gotta put its power to good use. Now the Bastion can send them even farther into the wild unknown.
Rux's deep, gravelly voice is almost soothing as you go through the world. It takes you with it. It basically uses Rux's narration as well as the game journey uses silence. It's a core aspect and drives the game forward. When you do levels and finish them, you get something called a core. Now you bring the cores back to the Bastion, put them in the middle, and you can build certain buildings, like an armory and a brewery. Inside these buildings are weapons, certain power-ups, upgrades, and passives to help you in the actual levels. You find the empty spots in these buildings by doing the levels or buying them with shards. Doing the levels will also find you some people. Now most are long gone, but there are a few that aren't. For example, Zia is found midway-ish through the game and comes back to the Bastion with you. Now, finding Zia, I will mention the soundtrack. This game has an amazing soundtrack. Plenty of very cool, almost Western-sounding tracks, but then again not at the same time. A lot of guitar is used and it complements what's going on very well. There are also lyrical songs. One is actually sung by Zia when you find her, called Build That Wall. All of these songs are generally very sad sounding and fit the game's mood extremely well.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill.
Now the levels themselves are creative and very well done from both an art point of view as well as mechanics. You are usually tasked with finding a core in a level and you fight your way through to find it, usually resulting in some sort of boss fight, which are all varied and give new challenge each time. A lot of terrain is also destructible, which gives you the shards to buy your upgrades. Now the game has two main modes, normal and no sweat. No sweat mode basically lets you carry on from where you died, whereas normal mode puts you back to checkpoints or even the beginning of the level when you die. It depends on how good you are at these kind of games and how much you want to experience the story over the actual gameplay, but if you want to experience the story more so than play the game, then no sweat mode is probably good for you, as well as if you're a beginner at this kind of platforming RPG game. If you've played this kind of game over and over again, or played Bastion multiple times, and just want to really give yourself a bit more challenge, then normal mode is definitely a good way to go. Now I won't spoil the story's ending, but it is one hell of an ending. and I highly recommend playing the story first time through to experience it fully. It does not disappoint and is still one of the best video game storylines I have ever experienced. So the bottom line is Bastion a good game? Hell yes it is. It blends story and gameplay perfectly. Its controls are nice, tight, responsive, and there's nothing weird there that you're not really thinking about for controls. It's all very intuitive, and they're all rebindable anyway. The music, beautiful. The graphics and playstyle and everything in this game is done very, very, very well. It is a must-play to appreciate the platforming genre and even the adventure genre, because this game mixes them both so perfectly. If you are looking for something that you have to play to appreciate indie games to their fullest, Bastion is on the list. It is high on the list. It is way up on the list. Play this game, you will not be disappointed. That's all I have to say. If you enjoyed that video, maybe check out some of my other reviews, like Forsaken Uprising, for example. That game is a lot worse than Bastion. If you want to experience a good game, then maybe just stick to this one. But if you want to see me review something absolutely awful, click on the screen and you can go watch that and cringe a whole lot, probably more than I did. And if you're interested in something else, then maybe check out my Console Minute series. If you really enjoyed, leave a like, and of course, subscribe. Thanks for watching.